it is a incredible skill to maintain that much muscle during a fat loss phase and get that lean. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't come around the first time unless, again, you have this genetic gift and you're in the right hands with the right coach. And even if you're not, I've heard stories where you're like, you did that as your fat loss practice, which is not what some of the other guys are doing. And you would question it too, yet they look incredible. So I know there's different practices and whatnot, but for the most part, I think there's an approach that makes the most sense logically and physiologically that one should take when it comes to losing fat. You want to lose slowly as a natural. You don't want to lose too quickly because then you can lose muscle. So all those things. But yeah, it really is cool to see how lean these guys are getting, because I haven't experienced that yet. Even you said you haven't experienced that yet, where you have the striated glutes, right?
That's right. Yeah. Maybe I mentioned it last time, but even this time around, still I got myself into the best shape I've ever been in. But I think when I say best shape, I mean, I was holding a little bit more muscle mass at a slightly lower body fat percentage than the A and B shows I did last year. By the end of the cut, I didn't get where I wanted to be, but I just felt like if I kept going any longer, I would start potentially chewing into muscle. I wasn't really willing to do that just because the cut period had gone on sort of a bit too long. But there was little things I should have implemented sooner. And then maybe I could have got to that point where it was like a sort of freaky percentage of body fat. I'll try again next year.
Yeah. So you are interested in trying to see how lean you could get as far as even that level of leanness where you're starting to see striated glutes, like you would want to test the waters on that?
Yeah, because there was some days, I mean, I haven't put that footage up either from when I actually competed. And I do think for those shows now, especially, I feel like I've sort of cracked the code as far as peaking. In the past, I had no idea what I was doing, but you just do it enough times. And if you do it without a coach, like I've done it, you get to learn your own body, what works best for you. I feel like I finally found that sweet spot, and I found what works best for me leading up to the show and the day of. But there were times even before the show, especially when I'd wake up, fasted, and check my physique out in the right light, I was getting striations in my glutes and things like that. So it was definitely better than previous years, definitely less body fat. But I think I could have pushed it another couple of weeks to get to that point, but I also just wasn't willing to.
Right. How long did that fat loss phase last you? The contest prep, I mean?
Realistically, it probably was about 16, could have been just over 16 weeks.
Over 16 weeks. Yeah. Okay. So there was a comment I read on your IG. I think it was under one of your photos anyways, but it was more recent though, where someone said, oh, this is unhealthy. You can't be natural. And then he retracted his comment after you explained to him that it's because you are getting ready for a contest and you're actually not that lean all year long. I think it was a contest photo. You remember this comment?
I know that a lot of people make that insinuation that I'm this lean year round. I mean, even if you go on my Instagram page, I've posted maybe somewhere between 240 to 260 times. That's nothing comparatively. There's some people that have thousands of posts up on their Instagram page. And we're talking, I've been posting on Instagram since 2016. I can't remember, maybe 2014. So that's not a lot of posts.
Right.
And when I do post, and because I take the majority, if not all, my photos on film, it's just a shit ton of photos taken around the time, maybe 2 to 3 weeks prior to when I compete or sort of get ready for a shoot or whatever it might be. And then that particular day when I'm in my best shape, and then a couple of weeks following, I'll just get a bunch of content around that time. We're talking about 5 to 6 weeks worth of content that I do spread out over a good 6 to 8 month period. So it gives that illusion. And I want to tell people that too, that that's the reality. And when people say Instagram's fake to some degree, well, yeah, it is, because I know I'm giving people the illusion that I look that way year round. I stay still within sort of striking range. Like if I wanted to get back there, it wouldn't take me that long, but it's not as lean as the majority of the photos you see. And even then, some of the more recent ones I put up, which were taken a week after competing, I've already gained a bit of body fat. Like I don't have the striations in my legs or anything anymore. That's kind of maintainable for a decent length of time, but yeah, not year round.
Well, the body fat percentage that you're probably at now is more conducive to putting on muscles than it would be if you stayed leaner, right? Like near that contest shape.
That particular contest shape, I reckon I could hold for like a month max. And that's a long time. But if I got any leaner than that, then I think it would start getting particularly difficult.
Okay. What's fascinating, and I think I heard you say this, maybe it was in our interview last time, you don't track your macronutrients, right? When you're getting ready for a contest. Is that accurate? Or maybe that's an old video and you've changed your practices though?
No, I actually went sort of deeper into that I guess I'm gonna say mindset or way of thinking, but I don't think I even weighed anything that whole prep. I didn't weigh anything, which I've done in the past. I didn't take any supplements. And in the past, I took creatine every now and then, like especially if I was cutting back on red meat. I just decided I'm gonna leave steak, like full fatty cuts of steak in every day. I'm gonna leave whole eggs in. So I had whole eggs every day. I chose to do egg whites instead of whole eggs when I had like post-workout shake. But yeah, I made a point of not tracking anything. So I didn't track my macros, didn't track calories, didn't take any supplementation. And I just focused on using the mirror as my guide that entire prep. I don't think I weighed myself once either. No, I did because I wanted to see, I think it was the first show. I just wanted to see how low I got in weight because some people do ask on social media, how heavy are you here? I don't know my body fat percentage, but I can at least provide my height and weight.
So that's an incredible skill because not many people can do something like that and have the discipline to take away food and the right types of food or add in food and the right types of food when they're feeling flat or like they feel like maybe they're losing too quickly, or again, take away if they're not losing, right? So what were some of your landmarks on doing that? Like, would you take away an egg? Would you take away, like, how did it work really?
Yeah. It's very much like that. Because I eat year round, what I eat is so similar day to day. It's not like it was a drastic change that needed to be made every, say, fortnight in order for me to see progress. And I think what a lot of people, I don't want to say what a lot of people do wrong, but it's the reason as to why they're fearful of trying something like that. I mean, they could have competed 20 plus times. They might know their bodies better than I know mine, but they're still fearful of doing it because in their like off season, what a lot of guys are doing is that if it fits your macros type thing, they're eating whatever they want sort of within reason just to fit macronutrient targets. So then when it comes to show time and it's like, okay, I have to, or when it comes to prep time, and especially in that, say, month or two out from the competition, they have to start sort of drastically cutting calories. They're looking for more satiating options. And it's the kind of things they probably weren't eating year round. So it's kind of like, in many ways, the 1 to 2 months out from a competition versus how they ate the rest of the year is so different that the process isn't as simple for them. You know, it's data. They need to know in numbers what's going on so that they can sort of replicate that or change it slightly the following year or the following competition. It's not as simple for them. They're not just like, you know, this is what I was eating. It was what I ate during a prep anyway. It was just more. So I can just cut this out or whatever. For me, it's kind of very simple.
Yeah, no, perfectly clear. Yeah, there's that approach where you're just looking at numbers, and then there's, well, what you did. So, and more people, I think, are falling on the side of looking at numbers, at least because it's been more popular. I think it's more enticing to know that, hey, I could fit in some chocolate or I can fit in this and still reach my goal, which it's been done. That's no secret. Yeah. Many guys are doing it like that. So what is your reason for doing it the way you're doing it? Is it from a health standpoint, you believe that's more appropriate, or is there another specific reason?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. I want to minimize stress as much as possible. And I find that stressful. I just find having to track, weigh, and count everything. I don't have the time in the day to do that. I would rather focus my energy on what I deem to be more important things. If I can get myself into my best shape without having to do that, then I'll definitely do that. Even if it means sacrificing time, because it's taken me a long time to know what works. And even then, it's not like I'm getting myself in the world's best shape. There's people in far better shape than me, and they do track everything. But I think if I keep doing this enough times, I'm going to get to the same place. It sounds a little bit counterintuitive to what I just said. Like, I don't have the time for that. When you sort of zoom out, it takes me a lot longer, just as far as how long it really takes you to learn your body. It could genuinely be years or even decades. Yeah, I'd much rather that approach, because on a day-to-day basis, I don't want to be that meticulous with everything. I think it kind of sucks the joy out of it. And I think that's why a lot of people that compete, they don't seem like passionate and joyful about it. They just seem a little bit miserable. And it's because they're doing things that they weren't doing. Like I said, they're changing their diet so dramatically. I'm looking at it as like a way of life, and something that even when I do compete, I want it to be healthy, you know, or as healthy as possible. So that's why I rely on whole foods. I care about the micronutrient content far more than I do how many calories I'm getting in, or if I'm meeting my macronutrient requirements. Even though I'm conscious of it, like getting enough protein and that kind of thing, I'm still far more invested in like, what can this food do for me, and how could it better my training performance? How could it better my muscle fullness? How could it better my sleep? Whatever it might be. I'm sort of looking at everything beyond that of just bodybuilding and getting myself shredded. So there is kind of an ulterior motive as well as to get myself in great shape.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's about quality of life, right? And what you just mentioned, that's quality. Because if you're doing things that are just taking away from that, like you said, it's going to be miserable. It's not going to be as fun. And that's a big part, or fulfilling too, right? I think that's right. Yeah, that's important.
Training's been really good. My motivation is at an all-time high. There's been like a few things like that I'd seen on Instagram. I mean, actually, since following you, plugging and promoting your conversations and interviews, I've come across some more like really impressive natural athletes. And it's even to the point, even I get sort of sucked into that.